Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Jenn Tran rethinking Jonathon Johnson romance after DWTS premiere. Since Devon Strader broke Jenn Tran's heart on The Bachelorette, fans have been begging for her and Jonathon Johnson to get together. He finished third on her season, and everyone is really shipping them together. They have spent lots of time together since she landed in Los Angeles to compete on Dancing with the Stars. Jonathon was front and center during premiere night to cheer Jenn on. Is there something going on between them? She is spilling the tea. Keep reading to find out more. Is Jenn Tran dating Jonathon Johnson? Rumors have been flying since the Bachelorette finale aired and Jenn Tran flew to California for Dancing with the Stars. She and Jonathon Johnson stirred up rumors when they began sharing TikToks together. Since then, they have made public outings together, and he was even in the front row cheering her on for the big premiere Tuesday night. Now, people caught up with Jenn to get the scoop if things have changed between her and Jonathon. While Jonathon would be on board with dating Jenn again, she is not there yet. She said, "Honestly, Jonathon's been such an amazing friend of mine, and so great to have someone here in LA to support me and be such a rock for me. And my heart's just, right now, not in the space to date anybody, let alone Jonathon." She added, "But I'm just so excited to see where our friendship goes." What do you think she meant by that last statement? For his part, Jonathon has said if she asked him out he would say yes. He's open to the possibility of seeing where things could go. She's thankful for support. Bachelorette Jenn Tran also gushed about how happy she is to have support from Bachelor Nation. She has support all around from alums to fans. Jenn hoped she would have left the show with a reliable fiance. However, it didn't work out how she would have liked. Even though she doesn't have a man, she does have tons of friends who are offering her non-stop support. Susie Evans was even on deck for the big Dancing with the Stars premiere to cheer on and support Jenn. Jenn also gushed that she went to the dancing competition hoping to have a good partner and ended up with a best friend. Jenn has been dancing with Sasha Farber. Jenn Tran had always been the kind of person who prided herself on balance. Her world was one of careful structure, work, friends, family, and a few close connections, just enough to keep her rooted, but never too overwhelming. It was safe, and for a long time, safe had been enough. But that was before Dancing with the Stars. When Jenn signed on to compete in the celebrity dance competition, she didn't expect her life to change in any significant way. It was supposed to be fun, a bit of a distraction from her busy schedule. A chance to step outside her comfort zone, wear some glitter, and learn to tango or waltz for the first time. But as it turned out, the stage had other plans for her. Her partner on the show, Jonathon Johnson, was a professional in every sense of the word. He had the kind of charm that immediately put people at ease, a confidence that made him an ideal partner. Yet beneath his easygoing exterior was a fierce dedication to his craft. From their first rehearsal together, Jenn had been struck by his intensity, the way he threw himself into each dance, every movement a perfect combination of precision and passion. At first, Jenn kept her focus on the competition. The long hours of rehearsals, the aching muscles, the never-ending push to get each routine just right. That was all that mattered. The chemistry between her and Jonathon on the dance floor was undeniable, but she told herself it was purely professional. They were just doing what was necessary to get high scores from the judges. Nothing more. But somewhere between the quick steps and the cha-cha-cha, Jenn found herself thinking about Jonathon more and more. Not just about how they worked as partners on the dance floor, but about how they connected in a way she hadn't anticipated. There was an ease between them, a flow of conversation and laughter during their breaks. He made her laugh more than she had in years, and it wasn't long before she realized that her feelings toward him were shifting into something she wasn't entirely ready to confront. One night, after a particularly exhausting rehearsal, they sat down to catch their breath. The dance studio was quiet, except for the soft hum of the air conditioning. Jonathon handed Jenn a bottle of water, his eyes searching hers as she took a sip. "You've been quiet lately," he said softly, his voice tinged with concern. Jenn smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Just tired, I guess. This competition takes more out of you than I expected." Jonathon leaned in closer, his gaze never leaving hers. "It's not just the competition, though, is it?" She swallowed hard, her heart pounding in her chest. The truth was sitting right there, between them, and she wasn't sure she was ready to give it a voice. "What do you mean?" "You know what I mean." His voice was low, almost a whisper, and for a moment, Jenn felt like they were the only two people in the world. "There's something going on here, Jenn, between us." Her breath caught in her throat, and she looked away, trying to gather her thoughts. Could she really admit it? Could she face the possibility that what she was feeling for Jonathon wasn't just some fleeting crush? That it might actually be real? "Jonathon," she began, but he interrupted her gently. "I know you're scared," he said, his hand brushing against hers. "But I've felt it too, since the moment we started dancing together." Jenn's pulse raced. This wasn't supposed to happen. She hadn't come here to fall for her dance partner. She wasn't looking for romance. And yet, there it was, staring her in the face. The competition had put them in a bubble, a world where they spent hours together each day, pushing their bodies to the limit, learning to trust one another in ways that felt more intimate than she'd ever imagined. It was no wonder she was confused. But was it just the intensity of the show, the thrill of performing, or was there something deeper at play? She looked into Jonathon's eyes, searching for answers she wasn't sure she wanted to find. And in that moment, she knew the truth. "I didn't expect this," Jenn admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I wasn't looking for anything like this." "I wasn't either," Jonathon said softly. "But sometimes things find you when you're not looking." A silence settled between them, heavy and charged with unspoken words. Jenn's mind raced, trying to sort through the whirlwind of emotions swirling inside her. She had spent so long building walls around her heart, protecting herself from vulnerability, from the possibility of getting hurt. But Jonathon had slipped past her defenses without her even realizing it. "I don't know what this is," Jenn said finally, her voice trembling slightly. "But it scares me." Jonathon nodded, his expression gentle but determined. "It scares me too, but I'm willing to figure it out if you are." For a long moment, Jenn just stared at him, her heart waging a battle between fear and longing. Could she really take that leap? Could she let herself fall into something she hadn't planned for, hadn't even known she wanted? Finally, she exhaled a shaky breath and nodded. "Okay," she said, her voice soft but steady. "Let's see where this goes." Jonathon smiled, and it was like the weight of the world lifted off her shoulders. In that moment, everything felt right, even if it didn't make sense. They didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, Jenn was ready to find out. As they left the studio that night, side by side, Jenn couldn't help but wonder if the dance they had begun was only the beginning, both on the floor and in life.